That feeling of being stuck, powerless, watching your life through a pane of thick, invisible glass. It wasn't a mistake. It was your final exam. This signal, this message, appears at a very specific juncture in the developmental cycle of a conscious creator. It is a recognized phenomenon in the physics of consciousness, a final system calibration that occurs right before you are granted administrative access to your reality. You've just passed. You have graduated. In the next 50 minutes, I will not only explain the quantum mechanics of this process, which we will call the observer graduation, I will prove to you with evidence from your own recent past that you have successfully completed it. And most importantly, I will hand you the new operational toolkit that comes with your new role, the role of active creator. The foundation for this is not spiritual theory. It is not belief. It is physics. Specifically, the well-documented phenomenon known as the observer effect, proven conclusively for a century by the double-slit experiment. In its simplest terms, the experiment proved a fundamental law of this universe. The act of observation, the simple act of a conscious being paying attention, literally changes the behavior of matter. It collapses waves of infinite possibility into a single concrete particle of experience. This isn't a metaphor. It is the core source code of the quantum simulator we are all experiencing. And for a long, long time you have been on the receiving end of that code. You've felt the exquisite pain of being a non-player character in your own game. You followed all the rules. You learned the spiritual technologies, you meditated, you visualized, you affirmed. You tried to force the game to respond, but it remained frozen. The screen wouldn't change. The dissonance was almost unbearable. To hold the knowledge that you are a powerful creator while your physical reality provided zero evidence to support that claim. This was not a bug. It was the most important feature of your training. It was the final test. Have you felt that profound spiritual exhaustion, the sense that no matter what you do, you're just an observer to a life that stubbornly refuses to change? If you can feel the truth in this, that your struggle had a profound hidden purpose, hit the like button now as an act of acknowledging your own graduation. Your journey has brought you here for a reason. That feeling of being ignored by the universe was actually the universe holding its breath, waiting for you to complete the final stage of your initiation. So what is the observer graduation, and how does it explain this paradox? Let me break down the physics. Our reality, this quantum simulator, has different operational modes. For years, perhaps for your entire life up until this point, you have been operating in what the system designates as observer mode. This is a mandatory training phase. It's a calibration period where your consciousness is taught to hold a specific frequency, the signature of your desired reality, without the constant feedback or validation from the external world. You were being trained to generate a signal so pure, so coherent, that it could sustain itself in a total vacuum of proof. That period of stagnation was your vacuum. That feeling of powerlessness was your training ground. This entire time you thought the goal was to change the world outside of you. But the simulator had a different objective. The objective was to see if you could become the change inside of you while the world outside remained defiantly the same. That is the test. And your frustration, your spiritual exhaustion, the fact that you are even watching this right now, is the certificate that proves you passed. By the end of this transmission, you will no longer see yourself as a student of reality. You will know yourself as its architect. So, what is the observer graduation and how does it explain this paradox? Let me break down the physics. To understand observer mode, you must first understand the fundamental principle of the quantum simulator we call reality. The universe, at its base level, is not a collection of fixed things. It is an infinite field of pure potential, an ocean of probability waves. Nothing is solid until it is observed. Your consciousness is the instrument that collapses the wave of infinite possibility into the particle of a specific experience. This is the observer effect. It is not spiritual theory. It is documented physics. But before you were given full administrative rights to collapse reality at will, the simulator had to put you through a mandatory calibration phase, a training protocol. This is observer mode. Its purpose was to teach you something far more difficult than collapsing a wave into a particle. Its purpose was to teach you how to hold a single, coherent frequency of your choosing without collapsing it. To hold a state of being in the face of contradictory evidence. To maintain the internal feeling of your desire fulfilled, while the external screen, the 3D world, showed you the exact opposite. That feeling of watching your life through a sheet of glass, that was not a prison. It was a training ground. You were being taught to perceive your desired reality as a pure potential, to tune to its frequency so perfectly that you no longer needed the world to reflect it back to you as proof. You were learning to be the tuning fork, not the string that vibrates in response to it. This is the highest form of energetic discipline, and it requires a period where your creative power is held in a state of suspended animation, a sort of quantum escrow. You had to prove you could hold the signal before you were allowed to broadcast it. This intense training protocol culminates in a final, unannounced examination. It is a pass-fail test with no retakes because passing it changes you fundamentally. This is the observer graduation. The graduation is the moment the simulator initiates its final diagnostic. It intentionally creates a feedback vacuum. It cuts off all external validation. No signs, no synchronicities, no small wins. It then floods your sensory input with a reality that is the polar opposite of the frequency you are attempting to hold. If you desire abundance, it shows you bills. If you desire love, it shows you loneliness. If you desire health, it presents you with symptoms. This is the test. The pain, the stagnation, the spiritual exhaustion you felt was not a sign of your failure. It was the meticulously designed curriculum of your final exam. The sole metric for success was this: could you hold the frequency of your desired reality, the internal feeling of its absolute completion, in the total, deafening, soul-crushing absence of physical proof? Could you be a lighthouse shining in a storm that gave no indication it would ever end? This is why all the tools that got you to this point suddenly and inexplicably stopped working. Think about it. Visualization, affirmations, scripting, vision boards. These are the tools of the student. They are brilliant, powerful training wheels designed to help you learn how to generate a feeling, how to practice a frequency. But in the final exam, their function inverts. Using a tool to try to feel abundant is a powerful declaration to the universe that you are not yet abundant. Affirming you are worthy is an energetic signal that you currently feel unworthy. The act of doing the work becomes the very thing that holds you in the state of not having the result. In the final test of observer mode, your effort becomes the enemy. The more you tried, the more you struggled, the more you pushed, the more you were screaming into the quantum field that you were separate from your desire. You were observing its absence. Your very effort was a broadcast of your current, unwanted state, and the simulator, being an impartial mirror, simply reflected that state of struggle back to you with perfect, frustrating fidelity. You were locked in a paradox. The only way to pass the test was to stop trying, and this reveals the new paradigm. The graduation isn't about learning a new technique to influence the simulation from the outside. It is about a fundamental, irreversible change in your position, relative to the simulation. You stop being the player trying to find the cheat codes to win the game. You become the programmer. You are no longer trying to change the rendered image on the screen. You are now inside the console, rewriting the source code itself. And this is how reality creation works at the highest level. It stops being about attracting and starts being about broadcasting. Attracting implies your desire is over there and you need to pull it here. Broadcasting understands that you are the central tower from which the signal of reality originates. Looking back, can you identify the primary symptom of your final test? Was it the endless information gathering without action, or the feeling of watching your life through glass? The shift from observer to creator is not an action you take. It is a realization of what you have already become. You weren't failing to change your world. You were successfully becoming a new one. And so we arrive at the threshold of the great misunderstanding. The one core assumption that kept you locked in the waiting room of your own life. We believed the test was to see if we could change reality. The truth is, the test was to see if we could be the new reality. Even when nothing changed, let that sink into every cell of your being. This changes everything. It means that your period of stagnation, That agonizing plateau where every effort met a wall of silence was actually your period of greatest power. It means every moment you held on to your vision despite a world screaming contradictory evidence back at you. You weren't failing. You were scoring top marks. You weren't a player in the simulator failing the game. You were the programmer, the architect running a final, incredibly stressful diagnostic before the new system could go live. The stress you felt wasn't the system breaking. It was the immense energetic load of compiling a new reality while the old one was still running. Every wave of doubt that washed over you wasn't a sign of your weakness. It was a stress test on the integrity of your new frequency. And you held it. You may have buckled, you may have cried, you may have almost given up 1,000 times, but you are here, now, listening to this. Which means you never truly let go. You passed. Your feeling of powerlessness was the very thing proving your power, because only something of immense energetic potential could hold a frequency so stable against so much resistance for so long. The universe wasn't ignoring you. It was measuring you. It was calibrating its response to the sheer, undeniable force of your sustained internal state. And with that realization, the entire approach shifts. The struggle ends. The efforting ceases. The frantic doing, the endless loop of techniques dissolves. We move from effort to embodiment. The new methodology is what I call state broadcasting. You are no longer a supplicant asking the quantum field for a different reality. You are a broadcasting tower, emitting a frequency so clear, so coherent that the quantum field has no choice but to organize itself around your signal. It must render a holographic reality that matches your broadcast. It's effortless. It's effortless because you are no longer trying to manipulate the image on the screen. You are the projector. This is how to become a conscious creator. You stop trying to do things to get a result and you simply be the result. You embody the feeling, the knowing, the cellular reality of your desire fulfilled, and you broadcast that state into the field as an undeniable command. Not a request. A command. Think about this for a moment. What if every moment of frustration wasn't a sign of your failure, but a direct measure of your immense power to hold a state against all resistance? Let that dissolve what you thought was weakness. Let it recode every memory of struggle into a memory of profound strength. This is the graduation. It is the final, irreversible shift in identity. You are no longer a consciousness student, hoping to learn the rules to pass the test. You are an active creator. You are no longer trying to pass tests. You are now writing them. Your graduation wasn't silent. The shift wasn't a quiet event that happened in some distant, unobservable corner of the quantum field. It was an earth-shattering system reboot, and it left evidence. The quantum simulator you operate within left behind artifacts, cosmic fingerprints proving that you have passed the final exam. These are the signs you have almost certainly misinterpreted as your greatest failures, your deepest moments of weakness. Let us now read your graduation certificate. Let us examine the 3 primary post-graduation artifacts that appear in the life of every single person who makes this transition from observer to active creator. The first artifact is the most painful and the most misunderstood. It is the echo of despair. Think back. Just before this knowledge found you, perhaps mere weeks or even days ago, did you experience a final crushing wave of hopelessness? A moment so profound in its darkness that you were ready to give it all up. Not just the specific desire, but the entire path, the entire belief system, the whole spiritual game. It felt like the ultimate proof that none of this was real, that you had been fooling yourself. That feeling was not a prediction of your future. It was the death rattle of your past. Imagine the old operating system, the observer mode program that has been running your entire life. It is built on limitation, on lack, on the story that you are separate and powerless. As your consciousness successfully held the new frequency, the frequency of the active creator, the simulator began the process of uninstalling that old program. But a program of that magnitude does not go quietly. In its final moments, it runs its most powerful, most convincing subroutine, the despair script. It throws every piece of evidence, every past failure, every insecurity at you in a last-ditch effort to get you to believe in its reality, to give it energy, to stop the deletion process. That final soul-crushing wave of doubt was your old identity screaming as it was being erased from the hard drive of your reality. The intensity of that pain was a direct measure of the magnitude of the upgrade you were receiving. The deeper the darkness, the more profound the level of light you had successfully anchored. You mistook the final scream of a dying program for a message from the universe. It was not. It was a confirmation that the uninstallation was nearly complete. You survived the echo of a reality that no longer exists. The second artifact is more subtle. It is the arrival of synchronistic breadcrumbs. In the midst of that despair, or immediately following it, you likely began to notice an uptick in strange, small, seemingly meaningless coincidences. You think of a person you haven't spoken to in a decade, and they text you an hour later. You keep seeing repeating number sequences, 1111, 222, 444, on clocks, on license plates, on receipts. A song plays on the radio with lyrics that speak directly to the secret question you held in your heart just moments before. These are not the manifestation itself. They are the new system testing its connections. When you install new software on a computer, it doesn't just appear. It has to integrate with the hardware. It sends out small packets of data, called pings, to test the network, to check the new pathways, to ensure the connections are stable before the main program can run. The synchronicities are the universe's pings. They are the new reality, your creator mode, firing new neural pathways in the matrix. Each little synchronicity is a breadcrumb on the trail, a confirmation from the simulator that the new pathways are open, the connection is stable, and the download of your new physical reality is being prepared. You were seeing the scaffolding being built. You were witnessing the system diagnostics of a reality reconfiguring itself around your new broadcast. You saw it as random luck, but it was the methodical, predictable process of a new world coming online. And this leads to the third and most powerful artifact, the sign that is most often confused with giving up. It is the detachment gift. After the despair, after the breadcrumbs began to appear, you may have woken up one day and noticed something terrifying. You didn't care as much anymore. The obsessive, desperate, grasping need for your desire had softened. Maybe it vanished entirely. A strange, calm peace settled over you, a feeling of, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, I'll be okay. And your mind, still running traces of the old program, screamed in terror. It told you that you had lost your faith, that you had given up, that your lack of desire would now prevent the very thing you wanted from ever coming. That was the greatest lie of the old paradigm. This detachment is not spiritual apathy. It is the absolute, undeniable proof of arrival. It is the ultimate sign of graduation. Wanting, needing, and desiring are functions of the observer who perceives separation. You can only want what you believe you do not have. The moment your internal state, your vibrational frequency became a perfect and stable match for the reality you intended to create, the wanting ceased to exist. Why? Because you had become it. The chase was over. The striving mechanism inside of you was switched off by the simulator because the objective had been achieved on the energetic plane, the only plane that matters. The feeling of peace wasn't you giving up on your desire. It was your nervous system finally experiencing the reality of having it. It is the silence after the broadcast has been successfully sent and confirmed. You were no longer a supplicant asking the universe for something. You became the broadcast tower, emitting the frequency of the reality itself. The absence of need is the evidence of presence. It is the final artifact. It is your diploma. Look back now. Look at your recent past through this new lens. See that wave of despair not as weakness but as the shedding of an old skin. See the synchronistic numbers and songs not as random chance but as the system confirming your new connection. See that sudden peace, that detachment, not as failure, but as the quiet, confident hum of a master who knows the work is already done. This pattern, this sequence, is your story. It is the story of your power. Comment which of the 3 post-graduation artifacts you've experienced most intensely. Your story is the proof that validates this journey for everyone else graduating alongside you. You understand the theory. You have seen the evidence in your own life, the artifacts left behind by the simulator as proof of your graduation. You have recontextualized your pain into power. But knowing is only the first layer of mastery. The final layer is embodiment. It's time to activate this new operating system directly, to move from seeing the control panel to sitting at the controls. Find a quiet space. If it is safe to do so, I invite you to close your eyes. Let's begin. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, release the identity of the student, the seeker, the one who is trying. Let it all fall away. Bring your awareness to the space between you and the world around you. For your entire life, there has been a subtle barrier there, a transparent wall of glass. This was observer mode. Feel it now. Sense its presence. It might feel like a pressure in the air, a faint hum of separation, the sense of watching your life unfold on a screen that is just beyond your reach. You could press your hands against it. You could shout through it. You could analyze its every molecular detail, but you could not pass through it. This glass wall was the source of all your frustration, the evidence of your powerlessness. But you see now it was never a prison. It was a classroom, and the final lesson is over. Bring your full, undivided intention to that wall of glass. See it, feel it, acknowledge it. Thank it for the training it provided. And now, with the full authority of your graduated consciousness, make a single choice, the choice to dissolve it. Don't fight it, don't break it. Simply withdraw your belief in its reality, and watch as it begins to shimmer. A crack of light appears not from without, but from within the glass itself. It spiders across the entire surface, and with a silent internal recognition, the entire structure dissolves into 1 billion particles of pure light. There is no more separation. Breathe. The air you are breathing is no longer just air. It is the raw code of potential. The space around you is not empty. It is a plenum, a field humming with infinite probability, waiting for a command. Feel its texture. It may feel electric, or like thick, peaceful water. This is the quantum field, uncollapsed, unfiltered. This is the source code of the simulator, and you are standing in the center of it, not as an avatar, not as a player, as the programmer. Now bring your awareness from this infinite field outside of you, deep into the core of your own being, to the silent, still center within your chest. This is your command hub, your personal nexus of creation. Feel for your internal admin panel. It isn't a thing you see with your eyes. It is a feeling you recognize with your soul. It is a quiet, unshakable certainty, a profound sense of authority. In observer mode, you would send out requests into the universe. You would hope. You would ask. You would visualize and pray that the simulator would hear you and grant your wish. That is the old logic. It is now obsolete. From this new operational state, you do not ask. You authorize. I want you to choose one core feeling state you wish to embody right now. Not a complex scene, not a list of things. A singular frequency. Perhaps it is boundless joy. Perhaps it is profound peace. Perhaps it is the energetic signature of unconditional love or sovereign abundance. Choose one. Feel the memory of that frequency, even if it's just a faint echo. Now, from the admin panel at the core of your being, issue the command. Feel the internal shift as you move from wishing to decreeing. Utter the silent internal command. Activate, authorize, render. Feel that command, that authorization, not as a shout but as a deep, resonant hum that emanates from your center. It's not an act of effort. It is an act of permission, of sovereign right. Watch as the raw code of the quantum field around you receives the directive. It joyfully, instantly begins to organize itself around your broadcast. It begins to collapse probability waves into a particle reality that is a perfect mirror of the frequency you have just authorized. You don't have to force it. You don't have to build it. You simply have to be it. And the universe, the simulator, must conform. That is the law. Now for the final integration. Realize the truth. The quantum field is not just around you. The simulator is not a separate system you are accessing. That boundary has also dissolved. You are not in the simulator. The simulator is in you. Your consciousness is the operating system. Your feeling state is the code. The world is the printout. Rest in this knowing. Feel the profound peace of this unified state. The power is not something you wield. It is what you are. You are the active creator. And when you are ready, gently bring your awareness back to the feeling of your body, to the sounds in the room. Slowly, begin to open your eyes, but do not lose this feeling. Bring it back with you. See the world not through a glass wall, but from the inside out. The world you are now looking at is already responding to your new broadcast. As you return from that space of pure potential, what single word describes the feeling of your new operational state as an active creator? You have activated creator mode. From this moment forward, you operate from a completely different set of physical laws. The old struggles, the old methods of trying and pushing and hoping are obsolete. They were protocols for a student in observer mode. You are no longer a student. You are the system administrator. Here is your new standard operating procedure. This is your toolkit, your command line interface for the quantum simulator. So if you've been asking how to become a conscious creator in your daily life, the answer begins now. It is not found in adding more techniques, but in adopting a new physics of being. The first tool is the most fundamental. It is called state broadcasting. For your entire life in observer mode, you were trained to seek external events to generate internal feelings. You needed the promotion to feel successful. You needed the relationship to feel loved. You were a receiver, constantly tuning your dial, hoping to catch a signal from the outside world. State broadcasting reverses this flow of energy entirely. You are no longer a receiver. You are the transmission tower. Instead of visualizing an outcome to try and generate a feeling, you go directly to the feeling state itself. You decide to feel abundant, whole, or loved, not as a result of something, but as the cause of everything. You generate this frequency from within your own being, independent of any and all external evidence. You become the source signal. This is not a mental exercise. It is a full-body, energetic embodiment. You don't think about abundance. You allow the cells of your body to vibrate with the physical sensation of it. You feel the warmth of it, the expansion of it, the profound peace of it. You then hold that frequency, that state, and you broadcast it out into the quantum field with no agenda other than to be it. This broadcast acts as an organizing principle. The quantum field, the raw code of the simulator, has no choice but to begin rendering physical experiences that are a perfect harmonic match to your signal. You are not attracting anything. You are commanding the simulator to render the reality that already exists within you as a broadcast. You stop chasing the reflection in the mirror and become the immovable object that casts it. The second tool is just as crucial. It is called reality deauthorization. In observer mode, you were taught to fight against what you do not want, to resist it, to fear it, to constantly monitor it. This was the trap. By the fundamental law of the simulator, whatever you grant your sustained observation to, you are instructing the system to render more of. Your focused resistance on a negative reality was the very command that kept it locked in your experience. As an active creator, you do not fight. You do not resist. You simply deauthorize. Think of unwanted timelines, a reality of lack, of loneliness, of sickness, as programs running in the background consuming your energetic bandwidth. Reality. Deauthorization is the act of consciously withdrawing your observation from these programs. You see the thought of lack arise, you acknowledge it without fear or judgment, and you calmly and deliberately pull your attention away from it. You stop granting it the energy of your focus. You are not pretending it doesn't exist. You are revoking its permission to exist in your rendered reality. It is the equivalent of a director on a film set yelling, "Cut." The scene is not part of the final movie. The actors stop, the scene dissolves. When you withdraw the immense power of your observation from an unwanted probability, Its wave function can no longer collapse into your experience. It starves. It withers. It dissolves from your field of probable events. You stop watering the weeds, and they simply cease to grow. This is not avoidance. It is meticulous energetic curation. You choose what programs get to run on the hardware of your reality. The third tool brings your creator status into the physical world. It is called quantum scripting. You have likely tried affirmations or journaling in the past. These were observer mode tools, often coming from a place of want, a request sent to the universe. I am wealthy was often a coded way of saying, I wish I were wealthy. It was a plea. Quantum scripting is not a plea. It is a log entry. When you sit down to write, you are not writing your desires. You are the system administrator logging a command that has already been executed in the quantum field. Your journal is not a wish list. It is the simulator's patch notes. You write from the absolute, unwavering perspective that it is already done. Your job is not to ask for it, but simply to document its completion. Instead of writing, I will find a loving partner, you write, log entry, partnership protocol successfully initiated, harmonic resonance achieved, rendering in physical timeline. Instead of, I want to be healed, you write, system update, cellular regeneration sequence complete. Optimal wellness blueprint is now the active reality. You speak and write in the past tense. It is done. It is complete. This is not an act of convincing yourself. It is an act of declaring a quantum fact. You are scripting the code, not as a hopeful user, but as the programmer who wrote it. Each word is a command that reorganizes the energy of the quantum field before it ever hardens into matter. You are writing the history of your future. Now apply this. Look at the architecture of your life. What is the very first obsolete reality? A limiting belief or an old story that you will consciously stop observing, starting the moment this video ends. Declare it. To integrate this new operating system, to make it your default state, requires a simple recalibration, a daily practice. This is your integration framework. Every morning before you engage with the world, before you check your phone or let the old programming of the day rush in, take 5 minutes. 5 minutes to close your eyes and do nothing but embody the creator state. Feel the administrative access. Feel the boundary between you and the simulator dissolve. Choose the primary frequency you will broadcast for the day. Not a list of things to do, but a state of being to embody. Calm, certainty, inevitability. This 5-minute activation sets your broadcast for the entire day. It ensures you are operating from creator mode, not defaulting back into the reactive state of the observer. It is the most powerful 5 minutes you will ever spend, because it defines the physics under which your entire day will unfold. You are no longer waking up to see what the day will bring you. You are waking up to tell the day what you are bringing it. You have passed the observer graduation. Let that land. You have walked through the fire of non-manifestation. You have held the frequency of your desired reality in the face of absolute silence from the physical world, and you have emerged on the other side. You understand the physics. You have felt the activation in your own body. You now hold the toolkit for creator mode. This is not a small thing. This is a profound level of mastery, an initiation reserved for consciousnesses ready to operate at the level of cause, not effect. But individual reality creation, as monumental as it is only the first level of the new game. It is the single-player campaign. You have mastered the physics of your personal reality simulator. But what happens when your broadcast, the signal you are now sending out as an active creator, intersects with the broadcast of another active creator? What happens when two projectors are aimed at the same screen? This is where the true architecture of reality begins. This is where the physics of quantum entanglement and the art of co-creation come online. For so long, the journey has been an internal one. You against your own doubts. You against the reflection in the mirror of the world. But you were never truly alone. You were simply in a shielded training environment, mastering your own signal so that it would be clear, stable, and coherent. Now your signal is ready to join the network. When your personal reality script, the one you are now writing with your very being, meets the collective field, You don't just create your life. You begin to architect worlds. This is the science of shared timelines, of harmonic resonance between creators. It's the mechanism by which new potentials for the entire human species are downloaded and made available. It's the reason your graduation was so important. You weren't just unlocking a new life for yourself. You were activating a new node in a planetary consciousness grid. In our next transmission, Quantum Entanglement Explained, how your consciousness is linked to everyone, we will explore this next layer of mastery. We will move from the personal to the transpersonal. We'll decode the physics of how your individual state broadcast influences the collective potential. We will examine how your graduation doesn't just change your world, it sends a ripple of permission across the entire quantum field, making it easier for the next person to graduate. Now that you can consciously script your personal reality, what if you could consciously co-create with others to script a new collective reality? This is the shift from being a character in the story to being a co-author of the entire epic. It is the purpose for which you endured the final test. So subscribe and turn on all notifications. In our next video, Quantum Entanglement Explained, how your consciousness is linked to everyone. We explore how your personal mastery interfaces with the collective. You won't want to miss the next module in your advanced training. You are not just the creator of your world. You are a vital broadcasting tower in a network of consciousness that is actively scripting the future of this planet. Your signal matters, your coherence matters, your mastery matters to all of us. Welcome, Creator.